Hello everyone and welcome back to Age Nagash, which is a channel dedicated to the Age of Sigmar. And in this video we're going to be returning back to the Fleshier Courts and we're going to be looking at the Abhorrent Ghoul Kings. So we're going to look at their lore and then we're going to go into their rules. And when I said the Abhorrent Ghoul Kings, we're just going to look at the one on foot for now. And then we're going to go into the ones on top of the big nasties, being the Terrorgeist and the Zombie Dragon, in a later video. Okay, so to start with, we're going to look at their lore, which says an abhorrent king is the vicious ruler of Fleshier Court. Whether scrambling across the ground with terrifying speed or riding upon the back of an undead monstrosity, an abhorrent Ghoul King is a savage embodiment of insanity. Time and the curse of the Carrion King have given the abhorrent a hideous appearance, far removed from the ageless beauty of other vampires. However, they are just as deadly as any of the blood-sucking king they have. This is the most evident when the abhorrents rampagiously feed on still living enemies, streams of gore spilling down its face as it drains the vital essence from the organs and hunks of flesh that it rips from its foe. If the size and supernatural strength of an abhorrent king were not enough to strike fear into its enemies, then there is also the madness that burns in its eyes. The vampire's delusion makes it a terrifying and unpredictable opponent, much feared by the races of the mortal realms. Ghoul Kings lead from the fore, surging towards the enemy alongside their most favoured courtiers, with packs of slavering mordants scrambling behind them to join the slaughter. Upon reaching the enemy lines, the abhorrents carve a brutal path through all before it, severing heads and limbs with each swipe, ripping bones and organs from still living bodies before devouring the dripping chunks of meat. Whole swathes of soldiers are cut down by the Ghoul King's brutality, yet the true targets of its fury are the generals who have led trespassers into the sovereign's domain, and driven by the belief that it is a just and noble king, and all other creatures outside the court are barbarians, savage to the bone. Against its people they fight endlessly through tooth and claw. That is what the Ghoul King perceives its enemies to be, and it has convinced itself that it is. Those who linger too long in the abhorrent's presence risk losing their own minds until they too see the king as it sees itself, a radiant sovereign, a ruler with unquestionable authority. Abhorrent, like many vampiric creatures, are powerful wizards, steeped in magic of death and darkness. Abhorrent Ghoul Kings can use their fell wizardry to knit together their wounds, amend the broken bodies of their mounts, and hurl sorcerous bolts or even summon troops with but a gesture. In their deranged minds they believe themselves to be conduits of holy power, or benevolent practitioners of magic. A Ghoul King may speak an enscrolled command for its enemies to kneel before it. To its eyes they immediately drop to the floor in a humble surrender, but in truth the words summon tendrils of necromantic energy that rip the limbs from its foes, leaving only the mutated torsos to wither pathetically in the mud. The abhorrents can also amplify the madness of its followers, causing their insanity to manifest physically. Mordants are made to believe they are wearing suits of impenetrable armour, and their sheer strength of their magical fulfilled delusion causes swords and spears to bounce harmlessly from their flesh. Others see themselves wielding enscrolled weapons that strike and parry with arcane accuracy, when in reality a Ghoul King's magic sends the Mordants themselves into a fury in which they thrash at their foes with unnatural speed and savagery. It is via the same dark wizardry that the abhorrent is able to transform a wretched cannibal into a Mordant. It is the vital ingredient in his sordid feast, and key to the expanding his court. With a delicate stir of one of its claws, it can impulse blood draughts with bizarre power transforming all who sup upon them into disturbing horrors, slaved to its will. Okay, so that's the lore for the Ghoul Kings. Yeah, quite cool there. And we know they are, you know, the leaders of the court, and they are the kings, obviously, aren't they? But it's nice to have a bit of lore there. What I will say is this is basically sort of covers the lore for the Abhorrent Ghoul Kings on the zombie dragons and terrorgeist as well. So I'm not going to read through all that again for when I go into their videos, but I'll mention their lore a little bit. So, you know, we've got them covered as being, you know, separate units. Anyway, but it's nice to have a insight to what the Ghoul Kings are. So like I said, in this video we're going to be focusing on your standard Ghoul King, the one that's going to be on foot. And our Abhorrent Ghoul King is a one model, it's 140 points, and it is a leader, of course. So now looking at its war scroll, firstly, the Abhorrent Ghoul King used to be, for many years before the update for Flesh Eater Courts, used to be the sort of, you know, the king, the pinnacle of your Flesh Eater Courts army. If you took it like that, so you'd have one on a zombie dragon, or you just ran a courtier to general like I did, didn't really matter. But in the lore, you know, they were the pinnacle. But in, you know, gameplay now with the Abhorrent Art region, which we're not going to talk about in this video too much, but just mention it, the Abhorrent Ghoul King almost seems like a little brother of the Arch region, because, you know, it's 60 points less, so it's not going to be as powerful, but it's a cheaper alternative. So we're going to go through its war scroll now. So firstly, like I said, I like to start with the description. So it says a Abhorrent Ghoul King is a single model and is armed with gory talons and fangs. So its will stats, so it's got a 6-inch movement, a 4+ save, a bravery 10, and 6 wounds. Okay, so 6-inch movement, yeah, that's fast, it's good. 4+ save, that is good. Bear in mind, this guy, like we've said, no matter how much armor he thinks he's wearing, he is wearing absolutely 0 armor. So unless you count the skulls maybe protecting him, or, you know, like the loincloth thing he's got going on, maybe. But he's got a 4+ save, which we like a lot. Bravery 10, yeah, that's good. And 6 wounds. 6 wounds is nice because he is not that big of a model. I definitely sort of, before I saw his rules, you know what, before he came out almost into Age of Sigmar, well, I say that, I mean, like, before he came out into the Flesh Eater Courts, before the Flesh Eater Courts were a thing, I presumed that he would have 5 wounds. But 6 wounds, no, that's good. Especially how he is, like I say, not the biggest, especially compared to some of the courtiers. They've got the same wound characteristics as him. So 6 wounds is good. Right, okay, and then going into his melee weapon. So he's only got 1. And this is the Gory Talons and Fangs. So it's got a 1-inch range, 6 attacks, 3 to hit, 3 to wound, -1 rend, and 1 damage. Right, firstly, this guy is a support hero, like a lot of the heroes in the Flesh Eater Courts, if not all of them. So if this guy has okay attacks, that's not bad at all. However, this guy actually has, you know, moderately to perhaps a bit more good attacks, because he's got 6 attacks, like I said, freeze and freeze, really good to hit into wound counters, -1 rend, which is nice, and only 1 damage, but you're making quite a few attacks to sort of makes up for it. Right, so yeah, I am a fan of its attacks, especially how this guy, you don't really want to get into combat, no matter how much it says in its lore. It carves its way through the enemy ranks and all those sort of things. Yeah, in the game, you don't really want to do that. This guy will be maybe fighting a few things, but trying to do his absolute best not to charge into the enemy ranks. Right, okay, so, and then we're going to go into the abilities. So, the first one is Royal Blood. So it says, in your hero phase, you can heal up to D3 wounds allocated to this model. Right, okay, so that is good as well, because like I say, 6 wounds, so a 4+ save, fairly survivable. Bear in mind he's getting the Deathless Quarters save, I believe it's called as well, you know, the death save for the 6 up for wounds and mortal wounds. So he's pretty survivable anyway, and this just makes him even more, especially how it's not like on a 4 up he heals D3. No, it's just a, you know, a standard D3 in each one of your hero phases, which can keep him alive for quite a bit of time. Because I find when I've got my Flesh Eater Courts and I'm playing against an enemy army, doesn't matter if they're a shooting army, whatever, the enemy will always tend to go for my courtiers, because they know if they kill my courtiers, it stops my whole army coming back. So they try and take out the courtiers first. So the Abhorrent Ghoul Kings, you know, sort of get left to last, because yeah, they help out a lot. I mean, if I'm taking a lot of cryptos, they're making them reroll their hit rolls, but they're not as vital to me as the courtiers. So the Abhorrent Ghoul Kings, if they get attacked, they don't really get just like everything shoot it. It's sort of like sprinkled on them, which if they take a couple wounds a turn, they can absolutely deal with, because they've got that D3 to heal back. Right, okay, and then going into the next abilities, and this is just magic. So it says, the model is a wizard. It can attempt to cast a 1 spell in your hero phase and attempt to unbind 1 spell in the enemy hero phase. It knows the Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield and Black Hunger spells. So, the Black Hunger spell, because obviously we know what Arcane Bolt Mystic Shield is. If you don't, I can talk about it, I suppose, in a video, and I probably already have talked about it, to be fair, but you can easily find that on the main rules. Right, so going into its unique spell, so Black Hunger has a casting value of 5. It successfully cast, pick one friendly Flesh Eater Court unit wholly within 24 inches of the caster and visible to them. Add 1 to the attack characteristics of melee weapons used by that unit until your next hero phase. Okay, so this is a spell that we all knew for the Flesh Eater Courts. The Flesh Eater Courts only used to have 3 unique spells, you know, one for each of the variation of the Abhorrent Ghoul King if it's on foot, Zombie Dragon or Terrorgeist. So we all knew this one, especially I did anyway, because I used to run it a lot of my Cryptoids. It's just a natural thing. You're going to take one of these guys for Cryptoids. Giving you Cryptoids an extra attack is really, really good. So I remember the spell. I think it used to be pick a Flesh Eater Courts units within 18 inches, but now it's 24 inches, so it sounds better. You know, it's an extra 6 inches, but it is wholly within the Abhorrent Ghoul King, so wholly within 24 inches of him. So it sounds like you get an extra 6 inches, but really it's not as good. But however, wholly within 24 inches is pretty easy to do unless you're really, really, really spread out. Right, okay, and that is, like I say, that ability is really good. Just giving you Cryptoids, making them do 4 attacks each is amazing. Even just putting it on a Zombie Dragon is good, or put it on Flares is good, or just putting it on your Crypt Ghouls, just give them an insane amount of attacks. So, and then going into its last ability, and this is its command ability. So this is Summon Men at Arms. So you can use this command ability at the end of your movement phase. If you do so, pick one friendly model that has this command ability and has not used it before. In the battle, that model summons one unit of up to 10 serfs to the battlefield. The summoned unit is added to your army and must be set up wholly within 6 inches of the edge of the battlefield and more than 9 inches from any enemy units. Right, okay, so firstly, like I've said before, if you're a bit new to the Flesh Eater Courts, or you used to do them and you come back to them since the new book, if you're wondering what serfs are your ghouls. So this is what it used to be, just set up a unit of 10 ghouls basically on the side of the battlefield. And something that's also important to say is it's not set up a unit of 10 ghouls, it's up to 10 ghouls. So let's say you don't have, you know, too many spare ghouls knocking around in your collection, but you're playing a game and you've got some ghouls already in there, but the ghouls die essentially. But let's say, I don't know, you've got a unit of what, 40 and 6 die, and you want to try and summon them on via this command ability. And I know obviously you could heal them back to that unit, but you want to summon them on because you want an extra unit to try and just hold an objective in your backfield, something along those lines. You know, it might be worth doing, might not be worth doing, but you've got the option. It doesn't have to be a solid block of 10 is what I'm trying to say. And yeah, basically take this guy, and it's going to cost you a command point unless you're next to the throne, of course. However, he just brings a unit of 10 ghouls with him. Brilliant. Especially if you're taking an elite army and you just go, oh, I need some bodies on the board. Boom, there you go. Cost you a command point. So, fantastic. Oh, not even a command point next to that bloody throne, is it? So, yeah, that's really good. I know that it's not the best command ability Flesh Eater Courts have got now, as the Archregent has got one. Well, it's just double that. It's 20 serfs, or you might want to put Flares or Horrors or a Courtier on the board. However, it's still a nice one, and I respect the king for it. Okay, so we're going into its keywords now. So we've got Death, a Vampire, Flesh Eater Courts, Abhorrent, Hero, Wizard, and Abhorrent Ghoul King. Okay, so it sounds quite standard, but some important ones here to note. A Vampire, not so much for the Flesh Eater Courts, but for other armies that's quite important. But for the Flesh Eater Courts in particular, the important keywords you've got is Abhorrent, Hero, and Wizard. Because remember, this guy being a Flesh Eater Court Wizard, when he casts a spell and it's successful and the enemy does not unbound it within 18 inches of the Vargolf, which we reviewed in the last video, you now know that the Vargolf then just comes into a bit of a blender. So definitely good to have this guy casting some spells near your Vargolf. And in summary, now this guy, if you compare him to the Archregent is probably better. It is more expensive, so you might struggle to fit it more into your list, depending on how you build your list. However, I think a lot of people are fitting in the Archregent because, quite simply, he is really, really good for how many points he brings onto the battlefield. I mean, we were talking about, what, bringing 6 of them? I know that people talked about bringing 6 of them in your list, and then they summon, what is it, like a 1,200 points, I believe, because they each bring on like 20 ghouls. So you're bringing like a 1,200 points, so what, 1,200 points? to your army. I know that sounds really good and like amazing, but I don't know how well that would work. I'd personally use them to bring on courtiers onto the board, like your Vargolf, but like I said, I don't really want to talk about him too much in this video, but inevitably a lot of people compare him to the Abhorrent Ghoul King. So what I'd like to say about that is the Abhorrent Ghoul King is not as good as the Archregent, however he is cheaper and he has been around for a lot longer, and he is sort of like, I feel like he's earned his place in the Flesh Eater Courts, as the Archregent is good, but that guy's only just turned up. Pay a bit of respects to the king. Right, and obviously if you don't pay your respects to the king, you're going to get flayed alive. And remember, in that case, don't hate the flayer, no, hate the game. Right, so with that, that's actually going to end the talk about the Abhorrent Ghoul King. I think I've talked about him quite long enough. He's not the biggest war scroll. Obviously, talking about the Abhorrent Ghoul King on Terrorgeist and Zombie Dragon is going to be longer, and those are going to be coming up and not too long on the channel. And yeah, so that's it. Like I say, I like this guy, I like what he does. Yeah, the Abhorrent Archregent is probably better, but the Ghoul King is still worth the consideration because he's 60 points less. And like I say, I respect him because he's been around for a while. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video, and if so, please like, subscribe and comment down below, as it's absolutely free for you guys to do so, and it really does support the channel. Obviously, if you didn't enjoy the content, you don't have to like, subscribe and all that sort of stuff, but if you do and you haven't already subscribed already, please do, as it massively helps, and like I said, it's absolutely free for you guys to do so. And then the next thing is that if you guys would like to support the channel a step further, I've now set up a Patreon account. And why I have done this is because on YouTube you don't get paid because I don't put any adverts on the videos, as I really don't want to put adverts on the videos, because I've said many times before, I find that really annoying when you're trying to watch a video and an advert pops up, and I don't want that to happen to my videos. So Patreon is an alternative way for me to try and get some funding for the channel to be able to pay for battle tomes, because each battle tome is like £25 in the UK anyway, and it's absolutely fine if it's for an army I do, but when it's an army I don't do, it can be quite expensive, especially when Games Workshop's releasing quite a few, as I inevitably get the Khorne one, and Khorne's not an army I play at the moment anyway, so but I will be buying that so I can review it in due course. So it's all helps towards funding for that, helps towards funding to get a better microphone, as this microphone's got a little bit of static, might be able to hear, which I'd really like to replace, because this is literally just a headset. So I'd like to get a nice you know, doesn't have to be professional, but a nice sound quality one to really help improve the content I can make for you guys, especially how in my videos they're mainly me obviously just talking, rather it being more visual things like battle reports and stuff, and that leads on to the other things I'd like to do is help money towards cameras and equipment to try and do battle reports. That's something I would really like to get into, as I know that is very popular with you guys, and could be some really good fun, and have some different armies on the channel would be absolutely awesome. And really also what Patreon really helps with is because obviously my job is very busy, there's loads of busy jobs out there, but I'm just saying with my job, especially with things coming up like Brexit and all those sorts of things, it really helps through the money through Patreon for me to be able to justify spending time on the channel when I'm going to be working really long shifts. But like I say, I really enjoy making the videos, and when I've got something like that, I know that I've really like got that motivation now to put the videos up, which I definitely want to do come what Brexit brings. Right, okay, so like I say, if you would be interested in that, please have a look at the link in the description. It will be like pretty much right at the top of the description. Please have a look at that. Anything really helps, $1 really helps, or if you would like to be really supportive, there is the tier 2 option, which is the Vampire, I've called it, and that is for people who donate $5 a month to me, which really helps the channel, and really helps me be able to make the content I provide to all you guys who watch my channel. So and on that note, I'd like to thank my patrons. So firstly we've got Max, and we've got Simon, we've got Carl, so thank you guys again for your support. Like I say, all the money you're giving and stuff is slowly adding up, so I can start investing it into the channel. And that's the other thing, all the money you guys give me goes straight back into this channel, opposed to it going into any of my pockets. None of that happens at all. All that money just invests into the channel, which really helps me out when I go to buy things for the channel, you know, battle tomes and all those sorts of things that I've already mentioned. Right, so yes, thank you very much again, and Max, Simon and Carl, great for your support. Please keep it up, as it really is helping the channel. And for all you guys who enjoy the content, just know that they do support the channel, and they really do help me be able to make the content I produce. Right, okay, so with that guys, I'm going to end this video. So like I said, I hope you've enjoyed it. And thank you for watching. And remember, until next time, Nagash is all, and all is one in Nagash.